So, in several ways, this tour hasn't sort of turned out quite how I wanted. It started with a kiss. No. It started with some of the trouble of getting here in the first place. I was actually an hour and a half later arriving than I wanted to be, because one of the trains that I was on was running late and I missed my connection. And Doncaster station was not incredibly helpful in sorting that out. I did arrive here though, and I found my hotel pretty easily, so that's fine. And then I went out to do the town centre, the top half of town, which was quite good because I managed to. I started at the top of the high street, worked all the way down to the Stone Bow, where I actually met a person I knew called Beryl. We couldn't speak long because she was on her lunch, but that was quite interesting. I've seen Beryl recently because I saw her. She was one of the people invited to my sister's wedding in June. Anyway, so then I went down to the Waterside Centre and I covered the market, and there's some nice stalls there. The Waterside Centre's changed quite a bit. You know, Andy's Records has vanished. Whittards of Chelsea, the tea shop that I loved, that's vanished as well. But it's quite full, is the Waterside Centre. You know, there's not many to let things. So I went there and I decided that I'd have lunch in the Waterside Arena at the top. And they used to have lots and lots of different sort of cafe outlets up there. And that's all gone, which is a shame. They've only got a Burger King and what's called a Cafe Select, which seemed to be offering gourmet sandwiches, but I couldn't see where they were or what was on offer there. So I had to go for the Burger King one in the end. So they sort of ruined that a little bit. And then after that, I looked at the Swans in the Glory Hole. And sort of walked around the Brayford, and I saw the university development, and I went in and I found Times for the Odeon, which was quite good. And then I went back to the High Street and did the bottom bit of the High Street and the Corn Exchange, and then I did St Mark's Retail Park and walked down the unpedestrianised bit of the High Street as far as St Botolph's and Methodist Central, and then I walked back and round sort of near where the bus station was, and I met Joy Gray, who is not quite sure. She is the wife of the man who was the son of my grandmother's last husband, and he, of course, they married in 2000. He died in 2005, and it's now sort of 2011. So I haven't seen her since his funeral, probably about 5 years ago. So that was quite interesting. And we spoke for a little bit, but again she was sort of working, so she couldn't stop for too long. Then I walked all the way up Lindham Hill and past the North Lincolnshire College, where, you know, my mother used to work, and up as far as Lindham Terrace, where I walked along trying to find the office of Dr. Connell Jones. I saw the Arboretum there, so I walked around that. And then I went back to Lindham Hill and up to the very top, and I saw the cathedral from outside. It costs to go in, which it didn't before, which is not unusual, I hasten to add, now. So I decided not to bother with that. I went to the castle, and again that was shut, so couldn't go in there. Then I went to the lawn to have a look at the conservatory there. That was shut as well. So then I walked back down and dropped my stuff off at the hotel, and then I went for a trip to the cinema on the Brayford, which was more expensive than I thought. Partly because I'd been reading the wrong information about prices. So then I thought, look, I've spent money on doing that anyway, so I may as well get extra money. I've sacrificed the going back to Scarborough, because that doesn't really need to happen just yet. And I will fork out at least for going into the castle. So then I came back here and I was absolutely shattered, because it'd been quite a long day. I was up at 5 so that I could sort of get out. So then I sort of vegetated here. I went to sleep, and then this morning I set my alarm for 7 and I was up for 8. And then at 8:30 I went down to have breakfast. Rather sort of weird. That was rather weird. I think because there was a lot of people there. I don't know where they're all from, because I mean, it seems like it's empty, but it's not, because, you know, at breakfast time they all come out. So, and they sort of pretty much ignored me. Not the staff, but the rest of the guests. So they were all chattering amongst themselves, and I was sort of sat there. But Kerry, the woman who was doing the cooking, it took a while. But I think that's because there were so many people there, you know, and there was only one of her. So, and she was fantastic. So we'll see about tomorrow, and we'll see how that works out before sort of making a proper judgment on that. And obviously, I haven't done room reviews yet or anything like that. I'm planning on doing that sort of tomorrow as well before I go. And then, so now, we're gonna go out now. So if day 1 was all about the tourist trap, then day 2 was all about the personal bit of Lincoln for me. We did start by going back up to the top of Lincoln, and we looked around the lawn, the conservatory there, and then we looked around the castle, and that took the whole morning. And then after that we went down into town and we stopped at the Waterfront Cafe for lunch, and then we went to the bus station and we caught the number 27, which is the only bus that still runs in exactly the same route with exactly the same number as it did when I was down here. And we went to Crosscliff Hill, and we climbed up the hill, and we spoke and we looked at the secondary school, and then we walked back down, caught the 27 again, and went all the way to Manleys, where we looked at the infants and junior school, and then we walked home from there to my old house in Lincoln. But we went by way of the park on Newark Road, and by St George's Church on Eastbrook Road, and the dentist. And once we got home, and we'd had a look there, we walked to my old I think the walls are a bit paper thin round here, which isn't so good. To my nan's house, and then we ended up at the Forum, before sort of walking to Lings Park and discovering that it had been completely renovated into houses. We were going to then have dinner at a place called the Barge on the Brayford, which was recommended to me by my nan. and we called in to find what time that they were serving. And I had thought that I'd made a booking then, but obviously not. And when I came back there, they were all fully booked. And it was 8:30 and they stopped serving at 9. So there's no point in waiting. Staff weren't incredibly helpful. So anyway, we went to the Harvester, which is another on that same Brayford strip. And that was just as good. And that was the end of that. About 10 years ago, Lincoln had brilliant bus routes that were operated mostly by road car. Now everything's operated by Stagecoach, which is annoying because they only run about one service on a Sunday. Thankfully, it does cover most of the part that I want: Birchwood, Swallowbeck, Highcombe. But it changes number halfway round, which is also very weird. I've just come back from St George's Church, which is sort of just down the road there. It's funny because I've seen a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while. Reverend Ian Silk's still there. Now a prebendary at Lincoln Cathedral also. I did one of my work experiences, in fact, shadowing him for a week. Sandy Brown, who I have since reconnected with, in fact, on Facebook. She's also ordained and serving there, has been for a good 5 years now. Who else? Colin and Beryl I saw. The Crosbys. I saw Stacey, who I've again linked up with on on Facebook, but in the flesh I've not seen these people since we left Lincoln, you know, in the turn of the century. So brings back a few old memories, particularly as I even met Janet Richardson. Now, I remember her when she was in her early 20s, and I must have been, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Anyway, I'm 30 next year, she's 40 next year. Very strange, I haven't seen her in years, and I mean, I probably haven't seen her in 15 to 20 years now. Very odd, very peculiar, lovely, but very weird. Seeing so many people. Anyway, Lindsay and Diane weren't there. Slight disappointment, but probably my fault because I haven't really. I was so busy last week that I wasn't able to tell everybody that I was coming. So I think half of them don't realise that I was actually coming today. So my fault. Never mind. Never mind. Would have been nice to see them, but I'm sure I will see them. I'm in contact with them on Facebook. So I'm sure I can arrange to see them at some point. So now we've got the afternoon. It's lovely. It's actually got quite warm again. And I'm thinking we're going to do some of the parks. Swanholme, Lakes, Hartsholme Park, that sort of thing, before going home.